Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
On this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, good news for cattlemen. How current weather conditions could benefit beef producers in the coming months. Plus, what cattlemen need to do before firing up that hay baler.
And now, NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman with host Kevin Oxner.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. I'm Kevin Oxner. Thanks for joining us. Topping this week's cattle industry news, it could be a huge hit to the entire U.S. cattle industry. The United States Department of Agriculture is proposing an amendment to the country of origin labeling rule, otherwise known as COOL. The amendment would require mandatory labels about where an animal is born, raised, and slaughtered. The USDA says it's a way for the U.S. to come into compliance with current World Trade Organization's guidelines. But NCBA says it will hinder the industry's trading relationships and ultimately increase the cost of beef for consumers. It's estimated that the new labeling rules will cost between $17 and $48 million to initiate and could lead to serious tariff retaliations from Canada and Mexico. Those two countries alone accounted for over $1 billion in U.S. beef exports in 2012. NCBA Vice President of Government Affairs, Colin Woodall, says the proposed rule will directly impact U.S. cattle producers.
We think this would be a huge hit for cattlemen. Canada and Mexico being historically two of our top markets. If we have retaliation against that product, that means any sort of tariff placed on that product, that's going to impact U.S. producers' pockets. Plain and simple. At this point in time, it's no longer about Canada or Mexico. It's about U.S. cattlemen. Now, if this was a program that actually provided some value, then it might be worth fighting for. But what we have found, and there was a K-State study that supported this, is that the consumer is not looking at the country of origin label when they go to the retail meat case. And because of that, we have incurred costs into our industry, but the consumer has not responded and the producers are not getting any additional money. Now we have a situation where if retaliation goes forward, producers will actually have money taken out of their pocket because of these additional tariffs. So that's why this is such a big deal for NCBA and why we're trying to find a solution or a workaround in order to prevent this retaliation.
USDA will accept public comments until April 11th and review them before proceeding with a final rule. One thing cattlemen have absolutely no control over is the weather. Luckily, some parts of the United States are getting some much-needed moisture, but other areas are still feeling the effects of the drought. We recently had the chance to ask a few members of Congress about the weather in their hometowns. We have more in this week's Cattlemen's Capital Concerns.
Well, I guess you'd have to start with the weather, and in Texas for the last few years it's been the terrible drought that we've had. It's been had a big impact on our agriculture system, and particularly on livestock. And obviously prices are another subject that it's hard to control, but I am glad that the Texas legislature is moving forward with some water development plans, even considering using some of the rainy day fund to make some essential investments and help us out when we go through tough periods like this with so much drought.
Oh, the weather. That's the number one issue, the drought. We had a severe drought last year in Nebraska. We're fortunate that about 70% of our land is under irrigation, and so it didn't hurt or hit the farm community as hard as it could have. It was still very devastating, of course, for the dryland farmers. But the livestock industry was especially hurt. And when you're looking at whether you sell down your herd, whether you ship them to corn stocks, whether you buy feed to bring in, those are all major decisions, and it affects your bottom line in this industry. If we have another drought, a severe drought, again this coming year, which seems to be forecast, I'm sorry to say, but if we see that, it's going to have a tremendous impact on the livestock industry and the number of animals that are there.
Our snowpacks aren't too bad across most of the state. We're running about normal. which is always very important because the snowpack determines what the creeks and the streams and rivers are going to be like this summer for irrigation and so forth. But it's been a pretty good winter. We've had a lot worse winters a couple years ago, but we need to have that snow. The cold weather hasn't been too bad this winter. And talking just last week with ranchers out there who are calving right now, a lot of calves on the ground, and they seem to be doing pretty well.
Although we can't do anything about the weather except complain about it, the fact is that we've had 2 months now in California of consecutively among the driest that we've had in recorded history. And the federal allocation for water yesterday is not good, and we're hoping to get this regulatory limitations that make it further exacerbate our below water allocations. They make a difficult problem even worse.
And we are drier in terms of our subsoil moisture than we've been even since the 30s and the 50s. So it's a rough deal, especially for our cowboys. And they've had to cull their herds, they've lost genetics, it's just been a really rough year. And then the consumer complains about the price of beef. Well, come on, there is something called supply and demand. And we've had a terrible drought over 3 years. Now, I don't know what we've done to Mother Nature, but she sure hasn't been very nice to us.
From weather-related issues to government regulations, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association works hard every day to make sure your voice is heard in Washington. By becoming an NCBA member, you can help make that voice even stronger. Just give us a call at 1-866-USA-BEEF or send us an email at C2C@beef.org. And don't forget, if you join right now, you'll get a 100 milliliter bottle of Dectomax injectable from Zoetis. And if you join NCBA as well as your state association, you'll get a 200 milliliter bottle. Again, the number to call is 1-866-USA-BEEF, or you can email us, as always, at c2c@beef.org. Even though not all areas of the country are seeing rain, it could still have a positive impact on cattlemen across the United States. We have more in this week's Market Watch.
Market Watch.
Here in the studio to talk about how the moisture is impacting the corn market is Chad Spearman, market analyst for Cattle Facts. Chad, thanks for coming back to our show.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well, I want to get into new crop in a little bit, but before I do, talk to me about some of the factors that are driving the near-term pricing for corn.
Well, I think overall, Kevin, the near-term overriding factors for the market are going to be on March 28th, we have 2 key reports. Number one is going to be the quarterly grain stocks report, and that's going to indicate whether or not we did much rationing at all during the second quarter of the corn marketing year. And expectations right now are that we have done very little rationing from the feed usage side. We have done a lot on the export side, and we're keeping ethanol production substantially below a year ago. But the second report is going to be the Prospective Plantings report. That's a producer survey-based report that's going to come out with planning expectations for corn, wheat, and soybeans. And as of today, I mean, expectations are that if we have steady to more corn acres in 2013, then we're going to have a substantial increase in corn supplies if we get some decent weather.
And you're talking about steady to more corn acres, but of course that depends a lot on the weather. What impact will weather have on the corn market as we move into next year's crop?
Well, I think coming into this year, 90 days ago, there was a lot of concern, as dry as we were last year, with the horrendous drought that impacted yields. But over the last 30 to 90 days, we've seen above normal precipitation in most of the Corn Belt. You now have soil moisture about normal in the eastern Corn Belt, still drier than normal in the western Corn Belt, but most of those areas have gotten some above normal precipitation. The exception would be more like the state of Nebraska. It's still extremely very dry. But overall, we've seen a change and a little bit more precipitation, and if we can get just a little bit better growing season, it won't take much to see a substantial increase compared to the yields that we saw last year. So ultimately, if we get that steady to increase planted acres for corn, and we do have a decent growing season, we could see potentially new crop corn futures moving into the fall time frame down around $4.50 to $5 a bushel. We were kind of on that same track last year, moving into the summer time frame, but we just never got that last rain as the drought just persisted on. So,
and that's always critical. They tell me that the most important part of the year, obviously, for weather is that July time frame. So we'll wait and see what happens, right?
You betcha.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Kevin.
For more expert information on analysis on the corn market, just visit cattlefacts.com. Ahead on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
They're the future of our business. They're the future of our industry.
The unique way one company is empowering the younger generation of agriculture students to get involved. Plus, how following a pre-season baler checklist can save cattlemen time and money. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're watching NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman on RFD TV.
You're not responsible for the weather, just the cattle. And Rangeland works as hard as you do to deliver performance, production, and profitability. Cattle need consistent nutrition. They'll get it year-round with Rangeland products from Land O'Lakes. Deliver what they need free choice in weather-resistant loose minerals and mineral and protein tubs. Get the most out of your forage. See your Land O'Lakes Co-op for products that will stand up to whatever Mother Nature throws at us. Weather's coming in. Rangeland. Consider it done.
It's deer season savings time. Just in time to get you ready for hay season. With 0% financing on John Deere mower conditioners, balers, and select hay tools. Plus, get 0% financing on all John Deere utility tractors up to 140 horsepower. It's the season for savings on hay tools and tractors. Deer season. Be sure to stop by today.
Grow more low-cost forage and improve grazing access by clearing out weeds and brush with these Dow AgroSciences herbicides. See your Dow AgroSciences representative or visit rangeandpasture.com.
Welcome back. It's the experiences in a kid's life that sets their future into motion. A great experience can even influence their entire career path. That's why FFA is set on providing the best experiences possible to its students. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Sharon Alseth visits 2 FFA chapters, one in California and one in North Dakota, to learn how Zoetis has teamed up with FFA members to help support the real-world dreams of agriculture students.
It's important to give back to organizations like FFA because they're the future of our business, they're the future of our industry, and we want to find ways to keep them involved and grow in our industry so we continue to have good people growing and being part of it.
Zoetis' FFA Support Program provides many opportunities to young people around the country. The Tulare, California FFA chapter has greatly benefited from the program, and it's helped many students realize the importance of agriculture.
FFA is a way that kids can get involved and get to learn why agriculture is important.
Really what made me get involved is I grew up in a dairy my entire life, and I kind of wanted to continue in the agriculture area, so I was enrolled in an agriculture biology class, and that's what really threw me into the FFA, was an advisor who took my hand and introduced me to the leadership aspect.
Each FFA chapter aims to give young people agricultural knowledge and experiences that can help them in every facet of life. The Tulare FFA chapter offers a unique experience. It supports a full-time dairy operation run by the students.
So commercial dairy is what makes us kind of different than everybody else because from what I understand, there's only one other school in the country that has a dairy. The kids get a lot of hands-on training. They get an opportunity to do everything from herd health, maintenance and care, all the way to putting milk in the tank and shipping it off the creamery, so that they get to do it all.
Dave Catano believes the real working knowledge gained at the school reaches far beyond the farm and can have a positive impact on many aspects of a young person's career. Zoetis and the Tulare community agree.
The way that the FFA program works is the veterinary clinic will enroll in the program and then designate a local FFA chapter to receive the program benefits. To complete this team effort, the program benefits are awarded through the veterinary clinic, who in turn presents the award to their local FFA chapter.
It's been very good to kind of see the activity and the involvement and being involved with the high school. I would encourage other veterinarians and professionals within the industry to try to give back the best they can. It's very rewarding to watch these kids basically pursue their dreams and careers and know that you're helping them get there one day.
The program allowed us to not have to spend any district money in order to purchase that feed wagon, which has changed how we're able to feed our animals and the types of rations we're able to use. It's minimized some of our expenses and maximize our efficiency in feeding animals. And plus, those feed wagons are used a lot in the real world, and so our kids, it gives them a chance to even learn about how a wagon like that operates and why we need to have it.
Tulare FFA is one of the few FFAs that have an operating and functioning dairy facility, and things were getting a little difficult where students were baling by hand, and they graced us with a feed wagon or a feed mixer in order to give better nutrition to our animals.
Zoetis aims to improve the experiences at FFA chapters across the nation. It's something that Territory Business Manager Kirk Jacinto says is an important aspect of the support program.
The best part about my job is helping to improve things, whether that's dairy cattle health or dairy processes. I find it really enjoyable.
Support program has truly allowed us to thrive with this new feed wagon. That's why we appreciate so much support from companies like them who believe in us and believe in our program.
The Zoetis Support Program also gave the community another way to help the Tulare FFA chapter. Veterinarian Chris King says the program has been rewarding for him as well.
The donations that we send through the high school have allowed them to purchase equipment and supplies and just kind of help keep the day-to-day activities and duties on the dairies running for these students, and just giving them more opportunities to basically develop their interest as well. It's very rewarding.
We're able to buy new things to help with education purposes. We can take more kids to the leadership conferences we're able to go to. We're more hands-on, like with more money, more donations, we're able to do more hands-on things as classes, and it just really opens the variety of things we're able to do on this farm.
When we return, we'll hear from the FFA students in Napoleon, North Dakota about how the Zoetis Support Program is benefiting their chapter. Stay with us.
There's an easier way to help protect your horse from West Nile virus. West Nile Innovator. No other vaccine has helped protect more horses. Talk to your veterinarian today.
To stay up to date on beef industry news and the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, check out beefusa.org. You'll find news on both the Federation of State Beef Councils and the work of NCBA on Capitol Hill. Plus, link to NCBA programs like the blog, Beltway Beef, updates on the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, and the latest from NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Connect today at beefusa.org.
There's only one place to find cattle industry updates, market highlights, and stories by cattlemen for cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
Learn about every segment of the industry, from cow-calf producers to feeders, from beef safety to food service and retail. Join host Kevin Oxner for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern on RFD TV.
Welcome back. The FFA program in Tulare, California has seen tremendous growth in what it can offer its students because of the Zoetis FFA Support Program. Now, let's visit Napoleon, North Dakota, where the FFA students there are benefiting from the same support, but in a slightly different way.
FFA chapters around the country provide many different ways for students to gain hands-on experience in the agriculture industry. Both Bailey Bitts and Stephanie Gross know that hard work and a solid education will help them, but the experiences they're gaining from the Napoleon FFA chapter go far beyond the classroom.
Once I joined, I saw all the opportunities you got to do and all the skills that you get to learn, so I thought it'd be really great to stay in it and just to experience everything.
I'm involved in many different things in Napoleon, and FFA has done the most for me as far as teaching me my speaking skills, teaching me how to get along with people, teaching me how to meet people, teaching me just so many different valuable things that will be used in the future. Not only do you learn about agriculture, but you learn about your personality, your skills that you need to improve on.
Along with supporting chapters financially, Zoetis supports career development events and runs their own marketing contest for chapters to participate in. This contest helped FFA chapters promote the effective, economic use of cattle animal health products. Ag education instructor and advisor Brian Schneider says the contest was a perfect way for his class to engage with the local community and sharpen their marketing skills, while also raising funds for student activities.
It's huge. It's been a huge financial benefit to us. And last year, the program they came out with, the marketing contest, was a perfect fit for one of our premier events that we do here in Napoleon, which is the sales. It was just a perfect fit.
The prize money from the marketing contest afforded the opportunity for more students from the Napoleon chapter to participate in regional and national contests and conventions.
This competition allowed us to take over 20 students to the National FFA convention, and that is unbelievable. Most chapters only get to take 5 to 6 students, and with the money that was donated, they allowed us to take those students and get them ready to compete at nationals and to not only have, the chance to compete, but have the chance to travel.
The marketing team also had a chance to visit Zoetis headquarters in Madison, New Jersey, where they presented their marketing ideas to top industry professionals.
So we got to go out to New York City. We flew in there, and our local rep, Donnie Wald, met us there. And we got to go all over New York and tour it. And then the last day, we went out to New Jersey, and we presented our marketing plan. Overall, it was just a really great experience.
The trip was a lifetime experience. I've never had an opportunity like that before. I'm just a small town girl. I've never gotten to travel. So getting to go to New Jersey was huge for me, as well as the other people that got to go with me.
To see them in front of a group of executives like that, and you could tell they were both interacted well, and they got a lot out of the experience. The people that they presented to were kind of amazed at, for the age level of those students, how they could get up and make a presentation in front of them. It was just a perfect fit.
The FFA support is helping grow the next generation of American agriculture by providing experiences these future leaders will remember forever.
I think it's one of the greatest experiences of my life, and I think about it all the time.
It's something that can never be taken away from you, and I think hands-on experience that we get in this chapter is only going to further our learning and education and passion for agriculture.
We are the next generation to feed the world, and I believe that it is a positive investment and that it is putting your money to good use to help these students pursue their dreams and pursue their careers in agriculture.
Reporting from Tulare, California and Napoleon, North Dakota, I'm Sharon Alseth for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
To learn how to participate in the Zoetis Support Program, log on to zoetis.com or head to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
this business can take time away and become more of your family than your actual family. My days were tough. I had a lot of doctoring, a lot of pulling. Now our days on the feed yard are happy days. It's more about looking at the cattle and enjoying what we're producing versus the alternative, which is pull and treat and bang our head against the wall. We have never wavered from Draxon. We've seen the benefits just keep getting better and better.
I'm an NCBA member.
I'm an NCBA member because I think as an advocacy group, NCBA has done some great things for our industry, and I kind of feel compelled to give back some of what they've done for us.
Because this organization is looking out for cattle producers.
They understand what makes our cow-calf business profitable.
Join me today.
Join me today.
Join NCBA today. Head to beefusa.org or call 866-USA-BEEF.
Welcome back. The National Beef Ambassador Program works with young people across the country to help teach consumers about beef and beef production. Each year, 5 young adults are chosen to represent the National Beef Ambassador team and educate consumers on a national level. Let's hear what this year's Beef Ambassadors have to say about their job and about our industry.
A National Beef Ambassador is someone that is passionate about agriculture, all areas of it, but especially concentrating on the beef industry, and really has a desire to talk to the public, has a desire to advance the industry, and show all that beef is a wonderful, sustainable, quality source of protein.
Part of the National Beef Ambassador Program, we are striving to educate consumers of all ages about beef nutrition, safety, and environmental practices we've implemented within the beef community.
As a National Beef Ambassador, our biggest job is to engage in conversations with consumers. We're here to make that direct connection between the consumer and the producer, since most of our consumers these days have been taken away from the farming industry by several generations. So we're just there to tell our story, to reassure them that we're giving them a safe and nutritious product, and answer any questions that they might have and kind of clear up any misconceptions.
I spent 2 years on the Minnesota Beef Ambassador team, and I loved having the opportunity to go out and connect with consumers and answer their questions, because they really want to know what it is that we have to say, and they want to know where the food comes from. So I'm really excited for all the opportunities that I'm going to have as a National Beef Ambassador to just get out there and talk with consumers and help them feel more comfortable in a product that I'm really passionate about.
I think my best message comes from my background and really showing the consumers that it's a family affair. We really care about their quality and their experience when they eat our beef. And so we want them to know that we're putting our all into it.
I love traveling around and being able to talk with people and just share my story, share my own beef production story with others, and talk with consumers as well as other producers, and just kind of share my message and get the word out that beef is a safe, wholesome, and nutritious product.
People know it tastes great, beef tastes great, and so I really feel as if though they want to know that it's safe, it's wholesome, and it's a nutritious product.
I think the most important thing the consumer wants to hear is that we care. We don't get up every morning to feed our cows just so we can make money. We do it because we care about the animals and we care about the product we're producing.
And so we love our job. We love traveling the country, meeting new people, and sharing our passion so that we can instill that in others.
The Beef Ambassador Program is sponsored by the American National Cattlewomen, and they are currently preparing for their national competition this September. Joining me in the studio to talk about ANCW and their involvement with this program is Sarah Bonenkamp, Executive Director for ANCW. Sarah, thank you for coming to the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, tell us a little bit about what ANCW is and maybe give us some history of the organization.
Absolutely. The American National Cattlewomen was founded in 1952, and it was all about providing a national voice for women who are passionate about the beef community. So we have a variety of different programs that engage cattle women from California to Florida in ways that can engage others in the beef story, whether it's in the grocery store, it's in the classroom, or it's on the Hill in D.C. It's all about bringing these passionate cattle women together and saying, all right, we've got a great mission, let's get together and move the needle for beef.
That's great. Now, we've just learned a little bit about the MBA program, but I'd like you to tell us a little bit about some of the other programs, particularly those funded by the Beef Checkoff.
The Beef Checkoff is a wonderful program for the cattle women, and as a contractor, we not only have the Beef Ambassador program, but we have others that fall under that Telling the Beef Story program, including the National Beef Speakers Bureau. And this is a great program that engages cattle women who want to go out and talk with those in their community about things that consumers have questions about, whether it's the nutritional qualities of beef or the environmental factors of modern beef production, or just, how do I cook a delicious beef meal? Right. They're out there and engaging in those stories. We also have the National Beef Cook-Off, and this is a program that's been around for many years, and it has a call out to those home cooks, those folks that are out there enjoying delicious beef and saying, all right, bring us your most amazing beef recipes, and you can have a chance to win $25,000.
That's real money.
Oh, it is. Then we have these delicious meals that we can take into the grocery stores and engage folks around, how do you select the right beef cut for this recipe, and how do you really cook something that's easy. So it's a great beef promotion program. Plus we do a lot with youth, as you saw through the Beef Ambassador program. We also do things through our collegiate cattle women. We recently hosted a job fair at the Cattle Industry Convention for those folks, and it's just a great opportunity. We even get involved with social media and have Twitter parties and do all sorts of things. So it's not just about going to grocery stores or educating youth. We get involved in a lot of different ways, even in legislation and helping cattle women talk to their local and national lawmakers about things that are important to them, and so we can get some good pro-agriculture legislation out there.
Well, I must admit, I had no idea that you did so many things, but what's next for ANCW?
What's next is growth. We want to bring more passionate cattle women together because there's so much, amazing things that can happen when you bring together those like-minded individuals. And so it's going to be focusing on beef promotion, because that's what we do best, those credible cattle women. It's going to be about continuing to develop our youth and building a strong pipeline of leaders who are ready to take the reins. And it's going to be about going out there and telling our lawmakers what they need to hear and being a great voice for the industry.
That's great. So if somebody's watching tonight and perhaps not a member right now, how do they become a member of the American National Cattle Women?
Well, I think the most important thing to know is that you don't have to be an operator of your own farm or ranch. A huge segment of our membership is, but it's just for anybody who's passionate about the beef community. So whether you're a college student, you're a person that works in the animal health area, you're a meat scientist, I mean, we take everybody, and all you have to do is go to our website. Go to ancw.org, you can sign up with a credit card, and there's lots of ways that we'll get you involved and arm you with the information that you need to be successful.
Well, thank you so much for all you're doing for our industry. We really appreciate it.
Hey, the cattle women have been here. We're going to continue to be here, those boots on the ground, and we're just excited to have great partners like you.
Very good. For more information about ANCW or the Beef Ambassador program, just log on to our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Respiratory disease is a significant animal health issue in the beef industry. It costs producers nearly $1 billion in lost profits each year, and it's the most prevalent disease in calves older than 30 days. So why not prevent respiratory disease before it steals from your bottom line? Vista Once protects your calves with the most complete respiratory disease coverage available, and Vision Blackleg vaccines can add 14 pounds per calf at weaning. For further information, contact your local veterinarian or animal health supplier.
I'm Kevin Oxner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. Check us out at cattlemantocattleman.org or on Facebook and Twitter.
Hi there, I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory, and welcome to our farm outside Nashville, Tennessee. When we go to work, whether it's on tour or here at home, we wear the West.
That's right. Whether it's that perfect snap shirt or that perfect pair of boots, when you wear Roper, you wear the West.
Learn more about us, Joey and Rory, and about Roper Western Wear, eddieroper.com.
Telling the truth and being real, and feeding my family a home-cooked meal. That's important to me. That's important to me. And planting the garden and watching it grow.
Welcome back. For many cow-calf producers, getting their herd through times when forage is in short supply requires adequate supplies of good quality hay. One key to ensuring your operation has all the hay it needs is making sure your hay tools and baling equipment are in tip-top condition before you head to the field. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brian Baxter headed to eastern Pennsylvania to visit with some of the experts about the value of baler tune-ups.
Lancaster County, Pennsylvania is home to some of the most diverse farms in the nation. Earl Zimmerman grows a wide variety of crops and feeds 70 head of cattle for beef. And he spends a lot of time with his round baler putting up corn stalks and other crops for himself and his neighbors.
We have the baling for our 3 farms, and then we do some custom baling in the side for 20-some years now that I own a round baler. Most of my baling probably runs from September through December for a lot of corn stalks, and so in the spring we do baleage. Summer it's some dry hay and straw. I use all mesh wrap, I use no twine. And New Holland has one of the best setups to put mesh wrap on their bales that's out there that you can find for simple and working. One of the highlights of a New Holland. And they make nice, consistent, dense bales too.
Because he relies so much on his New Holland baler, Earl works with Bob Kasmer from his local New Holland dealer when he needs a little help to make sure the baler is ready to go.
If you don't do good prep, pre-season prep, you have the chance of the baler failing on you prematurely and causing you major downtime. To get the baler ready for season, it's best to do a walk around, look for any items that might be worn or broken or fatigued, and replace those as necessary.
You know you got a good days of baling coming, you get out there before you leave and you go over your baler. Grease it, check the chain tensions, clean the dirt out, get it ready that you can go out there and have a successful day.
All livestock producers should pay attention to these tips. It can reduce the cost of ownership no matter what color the paint is, and no matter the vintage of the baler. Proper maintenance always pays.
The list of to-do items in a thorough round baler checkup is fairly long, and some are easily forgotten. So we asked New Holland's Kurt Hoffman to hit some of the high points.
The most common service item that I've seen that folks fail to do would be burnishing the slip clutches on the baler. Many folks will lubricate chains with oil, they'll grease the baler, but they'll forget the clutches, and clutches will draw moisture over time no matter whether they're kept outside or in the barn, and they stick together no matter what the paint color is on the baler, and it can have a myriad of negative impacts on the baler as well as the tractor, because we do have a clutch pack in the transmission that's driving the baler and puts undue stress on that clutch pack as well as the drive lines of the baler. One of the other forgotten things is Pto maintenance. And it may not be totally entirely forgotten, but is it done properly? The drive line in front of me is a 50-hour drive line, and the casing has been stamped so that when you line up the grease zerks up at the top, you also have lined up all the zerks down at the front yoke. So each one of these zerks should be greased with about 3 to 4 pumps of grease each, but there's one exception to that, and that's the centralizing disc up at the front. Greasing the centralizing discs is very important, because if we do not put an adequate amount of grease in the centralizers, that's a $1,500 bill on average for each producer, and no matter what color the baler's painted, it's an extremely expensive lesson. So 30 pumps to 35 pumps in the centralizer protects you from a $1,500 bill, and of course it won't break when it's in the barn, it'll break when it's in the field.
We'll have more from Eastern Pennsylvania when we return. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's the official monthly publication of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. The National Cattleman is produced exclusively for NCBA members and includes coverage of the news and events affecting our industry. From Capitol Hill to the far side of cattle country, the National Cattleman provides information NCBA members need. Every issue includes market analysis, feature stories, and practical management tips. Start receiving your copy of The National Cattleman. Call 866-USA-BEEF or go online to beefusa.org and join today.
Welcome back. Let's return to reporter Brian Baxter, who's learning more about the value of baler tune-ups.
When getting your round baler ready for a busy haying season, Kurt Hoffman says it's important to check and adjust all the items that create thorough pickup of the crop.
Another preseason check to save you money is your pickup tines. Of course, we're looking for broken tines, missing tines from last season. Want to replace those. But the other item to check is take your gauge wheels on the end of the pickup and adjust them to give you 1 inch minimum clearance between the ground and the tip of the tine. Preferable to run the tines higher than that if you're in a stubble crop like wheat, because if we can get them away from the ground, there's less chance of picking up rocks or hitting woodchuck holes and things of that nature that can cause damage to the pickup tines.
Another key adjustment is setting the gap between your wind guard roller and the tines, ensuring there's at least a 1 to 1.5 inch gap to allow crop to pass through unrestricted.
So if the roller wind guard sits too tight or too far away from the tip of the tines, how we adjust it properly is loosen this nut and either put the bolt in the upper hole for more gap or put the bolt in the lower hole for less gap, tighten the nut back down. That'll ensure that you have uniform crop flow to the pickup. Another missed adjustment when it comes to enhancing your baler's performance is pickup flotation. It's also a costly missed adjustment because it can lead to bent bands, broken tines, things of that nature because the pickup is pressed too tightly against the ground. So how we check this is we grab a hold of the pickup gauge wheel and pick up. Should be able to pick it up and down with about 80 to 90 pounds of force in general. Operators that go faster want more force against the ground. Operators that go slower can run less force against the ground. Another item that's often missed is chain tension. At the end of season, we back it in the barn, park it, and never look at chain tension. On a New Holland baler, it's easy to tell whether you have the proper chain tension. If you take a look at the spring idlers, most of them have a piece of spring steel laid right against the spring, and you check the chain tension by making sure that the flat washer is uniformly even with the side of the spring gauge. That way I get maximum life out of the chain. Another adjustment to the pickup is downward travel, and how we limit downward travel is a check chain. And what we want to do basically is adjust the check chain to allow about 6 inches of downward travel. Should I go over a depression in the field, I don't want to miss the crop. So by lifting the chain in the keyhole slot, you can adjust the chain so that it's equal on both sides of the pickup. After adjusting the pickup check chains, the thing that's most important is running the tractor remote in float. After all, if you run the remote in neutral, it locks the oil up and doesn't allow that pickup to float down into the depression to grab the crop. So it's very key that you take and you use a remote that has a float position and allows the pickup to move up and down with the contours of the land.
Of course, checking and setting the correct tire pressure on the baler is also essential, as is checking the condition of the belts.
Another item to take a look at are your belts. They're the heart and soul of the baler. What we're looking for here, we're looking for nicks, we're looking for cuts, lacings that are starting to pull out of the belting, those kind of things that may give us downtime in season. So the easy way to do this is to take the tractor and run it at an idle, stand back from the baler and watch the belts as they travel past for any of the above mentioned items.
Also on the to-do list, checking your operator's manual to set the proper distance between the PTO and the hitch pin, loading the baler with twine or net, and setting the bale density to the desired pressure to produce a minimum bale density of 10 pounds per cubic feet for minimal crop loss when stored outside.
To adjust bale density, we want to adjust the hydraulic density pressure using a valve, which is standard equipment on all New Holland balers. We loosen up the jam nut and then we screw in the valve to our preset pressure. We're going to try and set this one to 1500 psi. So with the help of my assistant who's in the cab of the tractor, he's going to cycle the tailgate up, and then I'm going to check my pressure to see if I have it at the right pressure. If I don't, I'll cycle the tailgate back down and either adjust the knob in or out to the desired pressure. And now that we have our pressure set to 1500 psi, we don't want it to change, so what we're going to do is tighten the jam nut down on the valve. And now you're ready for season with your baler that was proudly built in New Holland, Pennsylvania.
To do a good overall check on a round baler, it may take up to 3 hours, but it's a small investment of time that pays big dividends.
3 hours could save you 3 days of downtime.
Reporting from Eastern Pennsylvania, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman.
There's no substitute for being prepared, so you may want to visit your local New Holland dealer for smart tips to do a preseason tune-up on your round baler. And as always, you can find out more on our website. That's www.cattlemantocattleman.org. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Seasons change, but year in, year out, year round, it's Crystal-Lick season. With specific supplements for weaning stress in fall. Protein for pre-calving in winter. Calving in spring. And minerals and fly control in summer. For low cost per head per day supplements, every season is Crystal-Lick season.
We know who made that hitch. We know who cut the steel, who milled the ball, and who welded the seams. We know who tested, measured, and checked. We even know who thought the whole thing up. We're B&W, and we know your hitch. Because we don't make them halfway around the world. We make them all right here. B&W. Trusted.
I went out with Mr. Dewey. Maybe learned a thing or two. We motored through his pasture to the cows, till our paths befell a crossing, a trail laid to waste, like 40 rhinos passed by pulling plows. You? I asked. He nodded. I was out here yesterday. I had to pull a calf, came straight from town, but I used my regular method, what I call the hook and chain, where I sneak up on them when they're laying down. And then I chain their little foot up, slip the hook onto the link, the big one on the end, you know the one I mean, and then I put my boot into it. Always keep the pressure tight. That way they never get up till you're done. A hook? I asked. What kind of hook? From the rubble on the floor, he fished a good-sized hay hook from the mound. It was old as Grandma's photos, and no doubt it was handmade. It looked like some old stirrups that he'd found. See, I prop my back against the cow with my boot here in the hook and push against her when she starts to strain. I get quite a bit of leverage, but they never do get up as long as I keep that pressure on the chain. I see, I said, though I didn't. I looked back across the trail. I could picture what happened in my mind when the old cow quit the country through the cactus and the rocks with Mr. Dewey dragging along behind. Well, that explains those nasty bruises and that gash there on your ear. But what went wrong to sabotage your plot? Well, I was wearing city footwear, not my boots like I should. It slipped right to the handle, and I got caught. But you know, they never get up if you keep the pressure on. I've proven that 1,000,000 times. And I'll show you. If we spot one that's in need of our assist, I've got the chain hook here upon the floor. I glanced down to the floorboard. He was wearing his sandals. "There's one a calving now," he said. "Just look." "Well, so what?" I asked, suspicious. "Well, I see you're wearing mud boots." With that, old Dewey handed me the hook. This is Baxter Black from out there.
And thanks, Baxter. We'll be right back.
Ever wonder where the beef checkoff dollar goes and what it buys? The Federation of State Beef Councils is made up of the 45 qualified state beef councils that collect the $1 per head beef checkoff. Each council keeps control of 50 cents and sends 50 cents to the Cattlemen's Beef Board for use in national beef checkoff programs. Many states also choose to send a portion of their share to the Federation to expand national and international efforts. As a division of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, the Federation of State Beef Councils works to support an effective state and national partnership, helping to increase beef demand through research, promotion, and education. Because producers themselves direct these programs, your beef checkoff dollars are in good hands. Learn more about the Federation of State Beef Councils by visiting beefusa.org.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at some of the farm and ranch pictures you sent in from across the country in this week's Legacy Photos. I hope you'll keep those pictures coming in. To submit yours, just visit our website at cattlemantocattleman.org. Next week on NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, a behind-the-scenes tour of the New Holland production facility, plus the importance of a fly control program, and how the industry's own MBA program is helping cattlemen connect with consumers. And of course, the week's industry news and market headlines. Well, that does it for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman. We'll see you back at the same time next week, right here on RFD TV.